أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. A physician, activist, politician, founder of the Palestinian Medical Relief Society, champion of non-violent resistance, and an advocate for Palestinian unity. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let us welcome our dear Dr. Mustafa Barghouti.
Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to thank you all for coming tonight, but I want first to thank Al-Ghazali Foundation for inviting us and for organizing this wonderful, not only activity, but series of activities in support of Palestine. I want to thank, in particular, my colleagues who will be speaking today, our dear friend, Jeremy Corbyn, who has been always in the avant-garde of supporting Palestinian people. Please greet him. He deserves that. And my sister Yumna, who has been always a great advocate of Palestinian rights coming from Gaza Street. And Anis, our dear colleague Anis Daragme, who has been always, he introduced me to Al-Ghazali Foundation, and I want to thank you for that. So please greet them as well. South Africa has always been in the avant-garde of support to Palestine. We've been brothers and sisters in joint struggle against injustice, whether here against the apartheid system in South Africa or in Palestine, against the combination of apartheid, occupation, ethnic cleansing, and now most terrible genocide. You suffered in South Africa from settler colonialism, and you've suffered from severe discrimination, racial discrimination, and you've suffered from apartheid. So you know better than any other people in this world why the Palestinian people are suffering today and what are they struggling for. In addition to occupation, apartheid, displacement of 70% of our people in 1948, we are now subjected to 3 terrible war crimes: the war crime of genocide, the collective punishment including starvation of people, and the terrible act of repeated ethnic cleansing. Brothers and sisters, 70,000 Palestinians and maybe more have already been martyrs because of this Israeli aggression, including 20,000 children. 165,000 have been injured. That is 11% of the population of Gaza. Apply that to the South Africa, and you will be talking about at least 6 million people killed or injured in less than 2 years. Apply it to the country of President Trump, the United States of America, and you will be talking about 33 million Americans killed or injured if that had happened in the United States. 5 out of every 6 people of those killed or injured were civilians, contrary to the lies that Netanyahu tried to say yesterday in the General Assembly of the United Nations. To give you an idea about what we are suffering from as Palestinians, Imagine that 160,000 tons of explosives have already been thrown on Gaza. That is 72 kilograms of explosives for each man, woman, and child. No child can weigh 72 kilograms of these explosives that are thrown on them. This amount is no less than 8 times the explosive power of each of the nuclear heads that were thrown in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And not only that, they're starving people to death. Already 450 Palestinians died of starvation caused by Israeli siege. At this moment, according to UN agencies, 90,000 Palestinian children are suffering from severe malnutrition. 4,000 people lost their limbs, among them many children. And I told some of you before the story of that little child who was 5 years old, who lost both of his hands. And there was a video showing him asking his father, "Father, will my hands grow again when I grow up?" And the father had no words to answer. He had only tears in his eyes. They're conducting not only this terrible genocide, they're also using biological warfare against our people. With no water, no clean water, with no food, diseases are spreading everywhere. We had already, our Palestinian medical relief teams have recorded 117,000 cases of infectious hepatitis. We had meningitis, we had typhoid, every disease you can think of. And it does not stop there. The Israeli army has killed already 1,723 of my colleagues, doctors, nurses, and other health professionals. During the last 3 days, they attacked in particular Palestinian Medical Relief Society, the organization that you are supporting. They attacked it with rockets and declared they're aiming at it, at its destruction. And they destroyed 4 of our clinics in Gaza City because they want to deprive people from any medical care. Before that, they destroyed our clinic in Jabalia, and we rebuilt it during the war. And they destroyed it a second time, and they destroyed it again. And we rebuilt it, and now they destroyed it for the 3rd time. But I'm telling you, there will come the time when we rebuild it like we are going to rebuild every clinic. "94% of our hospitals have already been attacked. 252 journalists have been killed. 415 other journalists were injured, and not a single foreign journalist was allowed into Gaza. This is the largest number of journalists ever killed in any war. What we deal here with is a pariah structure. I don't even call it a state. It's a pariah entity that is violating every international law, every international humanitarian law. You all know about the case of Hind Rajab. What is the cause of what has happened to this 5-year-old girl who was in a car with 5 other members of her family? And she saw them, one being killed, one after the other. And for 3 hours, and her voice was recorded, asking for help. And when an ambulance finally managed to get to her, the ambulance was bombarded by the same Israeli tank that killed her family. and she was also killed. And I always say to the international community, what is the difference between Anna Frank, the Jewish little girl who was assassinated and killed by the Nazi Gestapo in Holland, and Hind Rajab? It's the same behavior, the same crime, and the same victims. At this moment, while we speak, 60,000 Palestinian pregnant women are suffering. I have a colleague of mine from Medical Relief who left his house to try to find some food for his family about a month ago. He came back to find that his wife, his daughter, his 3 sisters, his 2 brothers, and his mother were all killed by one bombardment. 2,600, please remember this number, 2,614 Palestinian families were erased totally from the civil record because they were all killed. 5,943 other families were all killed except one survival from each family. Can you imagine the life these people would live with such a memory? And now, while we speak, and I've been talking to my colleagues this morning, in Gaza City, the city that is 5,000 years old, much older than Israel, much older than many countries in this world, much older than the United States of America, 5,000 years, is being now eliminated and destroyed, one building after the other, trying to displace all its population. After they have erased to the ground Rafah, Jabalia, Beit Hanun, Beit Lahia, and 521 other communities that were erased to the ground in 1948. I spoke to my colleagues today in Gaza, and they told me that hundreds of thousands of people were forced to leave by bombardment, and they are out in the streets. Imagine that your family is in that situation, in the streets, without tents, without latrines, without even a curtain, without clothes, without food, and without water. How dare the West talk about the next day after, when this crime is still going on the ground and when this genocide is happening? How dare anybody speak about human rights, international law, international humanitarian law, and democracy? They came to teach us all of that. And when this genocide happened, they turned their back to us. One of my colleagues told me today, how can I protect my family? How can I protect my daughters when I don't have a tent? I don't have even a bathroom. I don't have even a curtain to cover them. So the big question here is, why the double standard? Why, in the case of Russia, 11,000 sanctions in 2 months? Now they have imposed sanctions again on Iran, but not a single sanction on Israel, although we've been subjected to this atrocity already for 77 years. And in the West Bank, we're subjected also to settler terrorist attacks. 60 Palestinian communities already have been evicted by this terrible oppression. 1,000 people have been killed. 18,000 people in the West Bank have been arrested. And 50,000 people in the refugee camps of Tulkarem, Jenin, and Nur Shams have been evicted from their homes that are being destroyed. And the whole of the West Bank now is subjected to 1,000, imagine, that little area is subjected to 1,000 military checkpoints and hundreds of military gates that transform each community into a little prison. You have been very generous in supporting our work in medical relief, and I want to thank again this wonderful foundation for their support. You are supporting an organization that we founded 45 years ago as volunteers, as young professionals, as young doctors and nurses, because we wanted to serve our people who were deprived from anything. And it's not just about medical care, it's about resilience. It's about helping people steadfast and stay in Palestine, because this is the most determining factor of the future. And regardless of the fact that they continue to destroy our clinics, we have now in Gaza 80 wonderful medical teams, all from Gaza, helping and treating 200,000 people every month. And they will not stop. If they destroy our buildings, we will work in streets, we will work in tents, we will work in any hospital that is available. We will never give up taking care of our women, children, pregnant women, all the sick people. Because this is not just medical work, this is patriotic national struggle for our future and for our freedom. In the West Bank, we have at this moment 81,000 young people, volunteers, who were trained in first aid and who are in the forefront. Wherever people are injured, they provide care to them and they provide help to them. We have 17 mobile clinics in the West Bank who are moving around, serving now 182 communities who are threatened by the Israeli illegal settlers, and we will never give up doing anything we can to help them stay and survive. What you have helped us with and what you help us with is very important to sustain and keep this very important work. And we need your work, we need your support to continue. I want to assure you, because this question was asked to me many times, are you sure that any help you give, any support you give will get to the people? And I can assure you, we are talking here about a very powerful grassroots organization that is present in every community and that is capable of getting that help that you give through Ghazali Foundation to the people directly, and be 100% sure about that. And we are ready to provide the information to anybody who needs it. We would like to ask you not only to support this humanitarian work, we would like to ask you to enhance the boycott, divestment, sanctions campaign also in South Africa against which was an instrumental factor in bringing down apartheid in South Africa, and it will be an instrumental factor in bringing down apartheid in Palestine. We ask you to ask your government to implement the parliament's decision to kick out the Israeli ambassador here. He has no place to be in South Africa. We ask you to confront the Israeli lobby and stand up against their efforts to mislead the people of South Africa. I know I have met delegations like that who try to use even the evangelical church to misrepresent the case of Palestine and to confuse the people of South Africa about reality in Palestine. Please stand up to them, expose the reality, and show what it is. Show the reality of Palestine. Yesterday, Netanyahu faced this war criminal who is wanted by the International Criminal Court. Yesterday, he faced the most awful day of his life because he's not only wanted by the International Criminal Court, he's not only wanted for 4 cases of corruption in his own place, but also because yesterday he saw in the hall of the General Assembly of the United Nations, he saw the great isolation, not only of himself, but of Israel, of this extreme Zionist regime that is committing all these crimes. Today, Israel is living in the deepest possible isolation, and it is dragging with itself the United States administration when it tries to stop what's happening to Israel. And I want to conclude by just reminding you, as I did on many media outlets recently, why everybody speaks about the 50 Israeli prisoners, and we want them to be released. We have no interest that they stay in the situation they are in, and that can happen immediately if Israel agrees to stop the war. But why nobody says a word about the 14,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails? Why nobody says anything about the 400 children in Israeli jails who are also hostages? Why nobody says anything about the 3,600 Palestinian prisoners who are kept in Israeli jails without trial, without charges, without any legal process? They're all also hostages. Why nobody says anything about, and this might be surprising to some of you, 552 Palestinian bodies of Palestinian martyrs are still held by Israel, including 17 children, 9 women, and no less than 33 Palestinian prisoners who died in jail because of torture or lack of medical treatment, and they will be kept in jail till they finish their term in prison, even if it is life sentence. How could you keep a body in prison to serve life sentence when the body is dead? Does any other country in the world do that? That is the most terrible situation that we are facing. And I want to tell you, I can stand here and talk for hours about everything in Palestine. But I don't want to end only by speaking about our suffering, because we're not victims. We're people who struggle for their rights. We're people who are heroes now struggling for their freedom. We're people who continue to do everything to achieve a future of freedom. And I want to tell you, nothing in the world will stop our struggle for freedom. There is no power in this world that will break the Palestinian people. They will not stop us. They will not stop us from treating our sick people. They will never stop us from taking care of our children. They will never stop us from planting our land. They will never stop us from rebuilding every house, every clinic, every hospital that was destroyed. And as you have succeeded, as you have overcome, we will also overcome. With your help, with your support, with your solidarity. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.